Check, check. All right. All right. Well, what I'm doing today, I'm going to tune an Emtron. This is on Matt Martin's car. Now, what you see there on that trace is idle speed, actual versus target. The purple line being target, and then actual being the green line. Now, that looks like, oh my God, look how big that is. That's so way off, but that's a top of 20 RPM at the most. Oh, 936 right there and 870. So really, it's about 60 RPM swing at the most, and that's actually quite good. Idle's a funny thing on a car. Give me a second. I'm gonna log in to the stream here. All right, here we go. Hey, Matt. Hey, Mr. Justin. All right, here we go. Hey, Matt. Good. Tell me, man, this is going to be good until I have a EFR8474 Girls FXT. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to read the comments on my phone because I don't have them on my stream, because when I put them on my laptop, for some reason the program crashes. I don't remember if you guys recall that happening a couple streams ago. But the stream kept crashing, and it was from this thing here. This holder is magnetic, but will it hold my phone? No, it will not. Oh, bummer. Magnetic holder is not magneting. All right, Matt, this is your car, so why does the holder not hold it? I think this is probably for an access port, right? All right, somebody hear that. Cool. All right, so what I'm doing here is Matt's car is a new build. It's probably got 50 miles on it so far at the most. Right now what I'm doing is I am working on the VE table for it on the dyno, because that's the best place to do the VE table. And then I am going to start putting a little bit of boost into it, see what kind of response we're getting, things like that. But yeah, so if you like right now, the needle on the dash is as stable as can be, and as you can see, that trace shows about 40 to 60 RPM swing, and like I said before, that's actually pretty good. So I've been working on the PID control for it. I tried something different this time. Typically I use some proportional and a little bit of derivative, but I swapped it around because I thought about it. Ideally what I'm trying to do is keep the timing around the same place and then have it only change the timing based on error. Well, that alone says, oh, proportional, that makes sense. But I'm also trying to slow or arrest the movement of the engine, and proportional to do that. Proportional is based on the error, and I'm trying to prevent it from developing a large error. And so derivative takes the speed of the crankshaft or the speed of the idle change and instant response to that. So however fast the RPM is changing, it will get a response. And that is more of an anticipatory kind of programming. So the idea here is that if I do get an error, then the proportional is going to throw some timing at it and try to get the RPM stable. But to prevent myself from getting a large error, I use more derivative, and the derivative therefore will see the crankshaft going whoop, moving one way, and it'll hit it with some timing. Now what I'm going to do right here is I'm actually going to change this deadband. I'm going to go 0, and I'm going to see now the derivative is being really sensitive, so it's going to be responding really quickly to changes, because it's not going to wait 5 RPM for it to respond. So I'm going to do that. I'm also going to go to my other closed loop table here. Where's it at? And under the filter, I'm going to lower the filter some too. I want to see if I lower that filter, how much more response I get. Now, if you look down at the graph of idle timing, you'll see now that little white bar in the bottom right down here is definitely moving around more. Like, it's become more active since I made those changes. If I take this filter and I go say 9, now look at it. Now it's very small changes in timing because I've taken that signal from the crankshaft and I've added a filter to it, which makes it respond a little slower and not as quick. But that also reduces the derivative or the slope of the line that the derivative function itself would see. And I'm using derivative twice in there, which is kind of confusing. But what I'm going to do is if the crankshaft starts to move and it's being shown really quickly, then the derivative action is going to quickly change timing. But if I put a filter on it, it's going to average over some more samples, and so I'll never get that same steepness, right? And so what I want to do is I want to see how sensitive can I make it without the timing going too crazy, but then also by it being sensitive, can I make it just hold idle to within a gnat's ass? So my target idle just changed, probably because of a cooling fan. I don't have that light on this screen. If there's a cooling fan activated, or if I bump the steering, the power steering pump will activate, and that'll bump the target idle up and things like that. So I don't know what caused it to go 915, but I'm guessing it's one of those things. Other target idle bumping loads would be the air conditioner and stuff like that. So anyways, all right, so thing is idling pretty freaking steady. Let's see how it recovers. Give it a rev. See how it recovers. Pretty good. If you look at the box here, you see that the target idle jumps up and then decays away. And so the Emtron's got this function where it's acting kind of like a dash pot. And so the idea is that it catches it at a higher RPM and then settles it into the idle. And in theory, that prevents it from overshooting and dipping really hard. If the idle target was the exact same the whole time when the idle's coming down and it's just shooting down towards idle, there's a possibility it would not blend right into the target idle like it did there. You see when we come down here, it almost follows that purple line perfectly, the slope of it down. That's really good. Hopefully Jeremy is watching this, or maybe Ash as well, because we're talking about this with his car. So you see I can rev that thing all the way up to 4 grand and it comes down. So this is a method that they could use to fix the idle on his Baja, which is Emtron equipped. But it's not set up this way right now. Because I don't want to give away all my shit right away when I'm helping somebody build a map. Like, what good is it to teach somebody to tune if I give them a map that's completely done and has all the fucking fine, things done to it and then it runs perfectly? Like, that doesn't teach them shit. So I gave them a base map and let them go at it, and hopefully they can get something from it. Okay, but looking right now, it looks like our RPM range is even tighter. I'm only seeing like a 15 RPM error from before, so that's really good. I'm digging that. Let's go to this one here. Let's zoomed in more. You see the RPM dropped when whatever turned off. Like I said, I don't have that shown on the screen, but it was probably a fan or something like that. And so this thing rescales itself, and so we'll see here in a second. Look at that. Okay, so we went from a peak of 930.64, now we're to 923. So that's way closer. I'm seeing a few more dips though in the downward direction that I didn't expect, but just that one there. We'll see if that stabilizes. So overall, bumping the filter down, increasing the derivative, reducing the deadband, making everything far more sensitive. Definitely shrunk down the window that I'm controlling idle until then. So that was either a fan or, yeah, let's just bring up the status menu. I don't know if you guys will see it though. Yeah, I didn't think you would. So I'm gonna check and see if the fan just kicked on. I can't hear it in here. Go to switch status, neutral switch. That's the wrong one. Output status. Cooling fan on. Yeah, okay. So cooling fan kicked on. That was the one. All right, so a little bit about this car. This car has some cool stuff in it that Jeremy, your car doesn't have. This one has a TMAF sensor, and I really like the TMAF sensor. It does a better job with TMAF control. It has my cams in it, the big turbo. It's got an equal length system on it, but the turbo housing is not equal, or not twin scroll. I mean, is it twin scroll? Short-term fuel trim is 7 on my sensor there, and my long-term is 5, so I got 12% error in fueling. Now, right now I'm running a fuel model that's blending some stuff, no, I don't think it's port and polish, man. I'm pretty sure it's not, in fact. The air mass final is 14.5. But you'll see the MAP air mass is 16 and the TMF air mass is 12.9. And so it looks like that the MAP air mass would be closer and more accurate than the TMF. Now the TMF is throttle mass flow, and to do that I have to change a bunch of stuff, which I'm going to do. First, we'll check the correction table. It's 0, so I don't have anything added on to TMF there. I'm going to check my fuel blend table here. We'll see I'm primarily TMAF. So that's more indication that it's running more TMAF, and thus why it's lean. So how do I adjust that? Well, you go to engine functions, I go to throttle body model. First go to the step, make sure I get everything set right. Yep, 60mm throttle body, that's good. If I need to fudge it some, I could change the scaler with a fixed percentage. It's not really a way I want to do it, but it is a quick way of expanding the size or adding fuel everywhere. First, I want to make sure that my stuff is set correctly. Boost pressure is the before the plate. That's correct. Manifold pressure is after. Do them both, even though I'm not doing 1 and 2. Still do them both if you're doing this, because it helps it to. Yeah. So this should be 1.0 either. So I got to change a few things here. This can go down. It's outside. Wait, what's going on? This is usually 0.995 or something like that. My decimal's not working. What's going on here? 0.995. ratio, that will have a bigger effect because that tells you, or tells it how much it flows when it's wide open. So that's why it says outflow scaler. So it's more about how much it flows at wide open. And then this is where to clamp off the calculations, because if it's if the pressure ratio gets really high, then it had a hard time monitoring the fuel, or calculating how much air mass goes by the throttle body, and so you have to be careful with that. 0.25 might be too much. Actually, it's probably better if I start at 0.35. I just want to see if I get some change. I'm not getting much change right there, because that's just the minimum clamp. This is where all the change happens right here. So this area. So the throttle mass flow is low, much lower than the map flow. Now, if I add to this, say right here with these 3 cells, and I add to this, I'm just make some big changes. All of a sudden, we see that the throttle mass flow tightened up in the middle there. You see how it got tighter to the map flow? You see now it's going to be 0.18 and 0.2. I can keep going if I want. Now the average, the throttle, and the map are on the same line. And that's great if I know the map is correct, right? If the map flow is correct, then that's good. I want them on the same line. But I don't know if it's correct. And that's kind of one of the big things with this, is you want to make sure that you have it correct. The best way to know if it's correct is honestly is a mass airflow sensor, but we don't have that. But now I can look at my short-term trims and see, oh, look at that, now it's negative. So that tells me that sure enough, the map was actually too high, and the TMF was actually just way too low. But combined now, I'm too rich, which is good, because I shouldn't have to make this that freaking high. That is way too high to be in that zone. I just want to show you guys the difference. Okay, so now you see them sort of spread apart again in the middle. So now we're going to go back to the VE table, so I can see them all more closely. I can see my fuel trims more closely. Okay, so now I have a cumulative trim of 4.6. Now what I can do is I can take this this model blend table, and I can make it 100, or I can make it 0. And I'm going to make it all 100 right now. Now the problem with, or make it all 0. The problem with this, I actually want to save this table though, because I like this table. So I'm going to save this table. Air mass blend, save. Okay, because I don't want to type all this shit back in. I'll make it all 0. So what it's going to do is it's going to put us all on. It should put us all on the map. So if we look here, map now equals final. So now I know that I'm all on map. So how far off is my map? It's really close, right there. Let's see, Travis, can you set to 0 tune fuel, then set to 100 tune fuel? Yes, that's what. Yeah. Obviously, there's a delay on the stream, so but yeah, that's what I'm doing. So now I can go through and work on the VE table. Now again, the problem is that you don't always know if you're correct, because we don't have anything to actually measure the air mass. If we had a very accurate mass airflow sensor on, like a factory one in the factory housing and the factory pipe going to it, then we get a pretty good idea of how close we are. But you could have an error in your fuel injector calculation or something like that, and then tune your whole VE table, and then do throttle mass and find out, man, I got to do a lot of weird stuff with throttle mass. What's going on with this? And find out it's actually because there's other errors in the in your model. So if you look at this table here, there's a lot of stuff. Okay, I've got 2 VE tables. These blend based on this blend table, which is in my thing here based on ethanol percentage, because ethanol affects volumetric efficiency. A lot of people don't realize that, but it does. What's interesting though about ethanol is not linear, and I've said this in other streams, it's not linear. It actually has the most effect on VE at around 40% ethanol, and then the VE gain drops off again. Now it doesn't go back down to 0 as ethanol increases, but it goes down to like 80% of what it was. So you'll have the biggest VE gain by 40, and then by 100 it's already dropped down. You lost like 20% of your gain, which is really interesting, but I read a bunch of articles on it, and it's very cool. Makes sense. When you think about the mass of the fuel having an effect on the exhaust and how well it scavenges, but also in the cooling effect that the ethanol has in an airstream, It helps cool the air down. You get a bunch of cooling, helps get more volume into the engine. But after a point, you just start displacing air with all this fuel, and you don't get any more gains. And then the biggest gains are when you have the coldest airstream, but as you add a bunch more ethanol, you don't necessarily even cool anything else off because there's nothing left to cool off. And so right around 40% is seeing the highest gains. And that's funny because I always love having my cars on about 40% ethanol because they just always seem to feel the best at 40%. Are they faster on higher blends? Yeah. But it is such a good balance of 40%. It's really good. And it turns out that it's also because it helps VE. Alright, so then I have injection timing. That has a smidge of effect on it, but obviously if you inject the fuel too early when you have a lot of overlap, based on your pressure ratio across the engine, you could just blow fuel in the tailpipe. That'd be bad. So having your injection time based on your pressure ratio is good. Unfortunately, this car does not have an EMAP sensor. So without an EMAP sensor, I don't know what the pressure ratio is. Now, I can guesstimate. I can do things that, what am I trying to say? I know that when I'm vacuuming the manifold, the exhaust is closer to atmospheric. And so if I inject really early, that fuel is not going to go out the tailpipe, right? It's not going to head out there. Now, when I'm in this thing, I get in a boost with this turbo this size, based on whatever pressure I have, or boost pressure I'm at. Typically, though, there's a crossover point where the exhaust pressure goes higher than the boost pressure. So if I know that, then I can develop a curve that will adjust my injector timing so that when the exhaust pressure is high, I can inject earlier if I want, but when the exhaust pressure is low and the boost is high, I inject later to prevent it from blowing fuel through the engine. And so that's kind of what we got right here. If you look here, this is a later injection time, 300. It's in an area where the boost is often higher than the exhaust pressure. It's a low enough RPM and everything that crossover has not happened yet. So right here in this zone, if I hit this zone here, the boost will be higher than the exhaust back pressure, and I will blow fuel into the tailpipe. So I wait longer here before I inject the fuel, and that makes sure that the exhaust valve is closed before I start pushing a bunch of fuel into the engine. And that's a little misleading because really I'm not stopping all of it. I'm just trying to reduce how much goes in because these injection events start pretty early. So, but there you go. I'm reducing how much fuel gets pushed through the engine during a positive pressure ratio. Yeah, EMAP is definitely makes it easier to tune. It can be considered more accurate because you know what's going on more with the engine. But the EMAP, which like I said, I love. I put on as many cars as I can. The EMAP is bomb. It's really good. My car has it, and I'm not sure why this car doesn't have it. I think just because it's a twin scroll, and the amount of other stuff we have to do to make it work probably has something to do with it. I don't know, but I love to put EMAP on all of them as much as possible. I'm going to smooth this out. It's driving me crazy. But I think it's definitely more accurate. It's what am I trying to say? It's similar to the TMAF flow, the throttle mass airflow, and how it operates because it treats the engine like an orifice, and then if it knows what the difference of pressure is across the engine, it knows the VE of the engine, just like the throttle blade. If I know the pressure across the throttle blade and how far open it is, I know how much flow I have through the throttle blade. It's the same idea, and that's the reason I like the Emtron, because I can put together a bunch of different fuel models and blend them all together. So this one I can do, I think it's about 3 fuel models, maybe more, that I can blend together on here. And if I want, I can double weight. So if I had a mass airflow sensor in this, I could blend mass airflow with what's called air mass modeled, which is, I'll show you here. So if you go to configure, you go to your fuel main, you can set your fuel model. And so in this one you see I have throttle mass flow plus speed density. Now I could change this to, if this had a mass airflow sensor, I could say number 9 there, mass airflow sensor plus air mass modeled blend. Now what I do there is I would go to channels, and the calculated runtimes. This is where air mass modeled comes in. So then I would select what parameters I want to use for this air mass modeled. So I could put manifold pressure, and that becomes the speed density, and then I could put the mass airflow sensor in there again, and then I could, when I blend those two, I could double weight that mass airflow sensor. Or I can do throttle mass flow here, I can do speed density here, and mass airflow sensor on the other one, and I have 3 of them being blended together. The beauty of that is I could even have it run with these blending tables, run almost all the way on the mass airflow sensor at lower power levels, and then where the mass airflow sensor would normally max out, just blend it into 100% these other 2, the throttle mass flow and speed density. So there's a lot of things you can do with the Emtron. It's really cool, so that one small error doesn't cause a bunch of havoc in your fuel model. Okay. This one is speed density. So you see I go to tuning fuel, V table. I got manifold pressure, so it's just manifold pressure, RPM, and then temperature. That gives me speed density. And then throttle mass flow, which is what I was showing you before, which is there's a pressure sensor on both sides of the throttle blade. So right now, it's looking like I have a bit of a positive trim of about 10%. Now, I don't want to go too crazy with adding a bunch of fuel here at idle. Typically, we're seeing between 50 and 55% VE at idle. So I don't want to go crazy and just assume that, oh yeah, I need to add some here. I want to make sure that this trim is because the VE table's off and not because I have a bunch of other compensations active and maybe one of them is scaled incorrectly. Unfortunately, you can't see this right now because I opened up this other window and it doesn't get picked up all the time by the thing. So I'm looking and seeing what trims are active right now to see what's being affected. So right now, I have engine temperature compensation. I only have 0.5% fuel being added based on engine temp, so that's not a whole lot of trim there. And then everything else, all the other comps are 0, which means the calculation of fuel is based on the air temp and the charge temp approximation, which are not compensations. I just want to make sure you guys understand that. And so we're basically going off of that and the fuel density. Now that's an issue. The fuel density is right now kind of a guess. I don't know what this winter blend is for density. Last time Anton measured the density, it was in the summer. He was doing pump and ethanol, and we were discussing, the density of the fuels versus whatever, and he did a bunch of tests and figured out that it was around whatever our table is here in this. We worked together to build the table for the fuel density. But that was summer blend, and the winter blend could be different. And so we don't really know what it is right now. But it's close. It's close. But fuel density has a very large effect on the fueling, because that says how many molecules of fuel I'm going to get when I spray my injector. If this is a higher number, then that means the fuel weighs more, there's more molecules, I get more, the car will run leaner if I tell it that it's heavier than it is. If I just put heavier fuel in it than it is, then it'll run richer, right? Because it gets more than it thinks it's getting. So right now I'm looking at all my comps. Ethanol is 10% right now. Ethanol temperature is really high. That seems weird to me. Why would I have 92 degree fuel already and it's like 20 degrees outside? I just filled up too. I didn't fill up. It's got a quarter tank, but I just put gas in it. Regular old gasoline. And right here in the bottom corner, oh, you can't see that again. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting. All right. So what's involved in the modeling right now? So we're tuning fuel. We go here to fuel modifier tables. Air mass modifier got zeroed out, which is good. Fuel mass modifier got zeroed out, which is good because I already have compensations based on those. Here's engine temp. Comp table. So this is kind of like your warm-up enrichment. Charge temperature estimate. This is this table blends how much does the coolant temp affect the charge temp. I have this a little high. 82 is a bit high. I should lower that down a smidge, and that'll probably fix some of my fueling error. Should be like high 60s to 70s in here. Might be a... Unfortunately, the only way you can get this for sure is to do a ton of laboratory testing. The only way to get it done totally correct, and we don't have that option right now. But let's see right there. There's a dip right there. You can see through the line. All right, so that will now weight the temperature of the charge temp closer to what the intake air temp sensor says, which means the intake air temp sensor is colder than the coolant temperature, so it's going to add a little bit of fuel by doing that. So let's go to here and see what happened. Yeah, so now I'm within 3%, 3.5%. A little closer. Let's see what else I got that's playing a little bit of a factor on here. I know this other one's really good. This one here is really good. Charge temp offset table. This one here is how much does the fuel that's being injected into the engine affect the charge temperature, is basically what this is saying. So I have it set, I put it based on ethanol content and based on fuel flow, because the fuel is what's doing the cooling. So if let's see, what do I got? Yeah. So as you can see here, as my ethanol content goes up, I get more cooling, which makes sense because I have more fuel mass, and I also have the cooling effect of ethanol, which is largely due to the mass, but also due to the molecular makeup of it and the vapor pressure. So right now, being on pump gas, 10% ethanol, almost no fuel flow, I have very little cooling on here. I could probably have it cool a couple degrees because no cooling probably isn't accurate. You know, I mean, that'd be kind of weird if the fuel had no effect at all. So I should add a smidge more cooling right there. Now that, say I'd added, we'll say 3 degrees Celsius just for now, just for the purpose of this discussion here. I'll take that, and I'm just going to make it somewhat linear right here. I don't like that too much. I don't like what I did there. Let's see. I need more slope as the ethanol goes up. That didn't work either. I screwed that up. Wrong button. There we go. Alright, so now it's saying I get a few more degrees of cooling, which again means that my air charge is colder, my charge temperature is colder than it was, and that'll also adjust my final fuel trim. Come on, computer, please. There we go. And then do a $750 spray, $950 spray. How much power are we expecting on this car? 600 wheel? I don't ever expect anything when it's a different turbo and a different setup and all that. I don't play the power guessing game. I never do. So forgive me if I tell you I don't know, and I'm not honestly too concerned about it. My goal is to make sure that it behaves like I think it should behave when I'm going through the tuning process, and make sure that it's responding appropriately, and as I add boost, the power goes up an appropriate amount, or what would make sense. I don't play the power guessing game. Plain and simple. Okay, so I don't have a hole there. I shouldn't need a hole. It should be higher, not lower. Right there, I'm not going to get that much more VE at 500 RPM versus 1,000. All right, so I'm pretty close now on there. My map and my final are pretty close. My trim is within 2%. The car's sitting for a while. It's going to affect the sun, but that's pretty close. So now I want to get my TMAF closer to this. Now, again, at these extremes of the pressure of the throttle, the high pressure ratio or extreme low pressure ratio being big DP or very small DP, it's not as accurate as it is in the middle pressure ratios. So so getting it perfect at idle isn't a huge concern for me, but I do want it closer than this. Right now we're looking at, oh, it's not too bad actually. It's within half a gram. That's not too bad. Now, if I go to the throttle body model, we go to the area table, I can do it here. The thing is, if I do it here though, I affect a lot of stuff. I don't just affect the fueling at idle. I affect the idle control system if I have it set for TMAF fueling, which I do. It'll change where the throttle blade goes based on that, because the idle is based on grams per second. So let's take a look at that. Let's see where we're at. Because when we looked at the fuel there, we saw that our map and our total is 4.3 grams per second. Now that's actually really close. That makes sense. If I had a mass airflow sensor on this car and I had 4.3 grams at idle, and then just over 5 with like the AC on, or in this case an engine fan running, but definitely with AC on, let's put the AC on real quick, then I would say that my MAF calibration was correct. See if it'll turn on here. Let's see if I got it enabled. So, cooling fan, AC status is off. AC request, let's double check, see if I got that. AC switch is off. It's definitely on right now. So I need to double check that that is in the right spot and set up correctly. That didn't turn on, so let's go to that real quick. Input, switches. AC switch, CAN bus OEM. Alright, well that's not working. I'm not getting that from the CAN bus. So let me check the wiring diagram. Is it here? No, I have it over here. Where's my recents? I just had it open yesterday. I was working on this. There we go. Here it is. Alright, so AC relay, that's output. Where's input? Pressure switch. AC request, here we go, DI1. Okay, let's double check that. Do I have DI1 being used for anything? Let's go to my build management. Oops, not build management, I'm dumb. I want ECU overview. ECU overview brings up a web page and tells you what everything is assigned to. DI1 is intake right hand. Well, that doesn't make sense now, does it? What the hell's going on here? Huh. Could be DI4. It could be the issue right there. Let's go here. Let's go DI4. Switch. Filter. Put a filter on it so it doesn't trip itself all the time. On greater than 3 volts. Off less than 3 volts. Then do a pull up. Do the other way around maybe. Oh, it's on. Alright, let's see if I turn it off. Nope, that's not it. Turn it on all the time. So take off the pull up, turn it on again. On, off. Okay, so I moved it to 4. That makes sense. I went to DI4 with it because it was in the wrong spot on the harness before. I recall that now. Okay, now the A switch is, you see it fluctuate. Oh, you don't see it. God damn, I keep forgetting that. I need to go check DI4 voltage. on, DI4 bounces up and down. You can see that in the stream. You turn it off, and it stops. But I'm getting, so there must be either the switch or something, a pressure switch or something going on there. I don't know. But anyways, I can work on that some more later. But what I want to see with this, reason for doing this again, was over here in our fueling, we hit just over 5 with the AC on, and that's almost exactly what a road car does, what a Subaru does, with a mass airflow sensor. So I know that I'm really, really darn close. And my throttle mass flow is now at 5.2, 5.0, just above what I have for the speed density. So I like that. I like where it's at, and that shows me that it's pretty close to being accurate. So AC off. Now the AC could be cycling on and off because it's so freaking cold right now that we're tripping out the pressure switch on it. Cool. So let's work on this VE map a little more, and then we'll bring the throttle mass airflow back into it. Now, without the throttle mass flow, the throttle mass flow does a lot of your tipping. So if I try and tip in with just the speed density, I will see some leaning trends. So if you look on the right side of the status where I got Lambda 1 and 2, and I get into it, you see there the Lambda went lean a little bit. It wasn't enough to hesitate at this point, but it was still a smidge lean. The throttle mass flow will almost completely eliminate that because it turns your fueling almost into a TPS fueling. It anticipates the flow before the map sensor even sees the change in flow, which is really cool. All right. Okay, I'm gonna lock the dyno at 35 miles an hour because that's my favorite speed to do it at. Fingerprints and oil burning off the headers right now. That's what we would expect. Call me a bastard. I wanted the radiums anyways. The radiums, but I wanted, because they were nicer, but I wanted to give you the nicer ones. So I thought the radiums were nicer than the IAG. was the last that IAG had in stock at the time. And with the big EPA non-TGV thing, they said they didn't plan on making more. But I think they've changed it now with their more EPA-friendly TGVs. Now, in their defense, those things are making fucking 19 plus pounds of boost on a 2-liter at 2,500, whereas this thing was making 2. So I think we're all right. I think even those guys will be all right with it. No, dude, actually laughing is not something I do enough, let me tell you. Alright, I'll bring the RPM up. I'll also bring the speed up. I want to do it in a higher gear, not a lower gear. Because I don't want to develop too much torque and pull it off the dyno. even more proportional and more integral, so it's quicker to respond to changes in air fuel. Now, you can make it respond too quickly and create oscillations, which I obviously don't want. If that happens, it might not just be that you made it too aggressive, you may also have an incorrect transport delay. This one being twin scroll is giving a pretty long transport delay, but I'm liking what happened there. That's a lot better. I like it. Definitely tracking the way I prefer to track when I'm in the throttle. Little waver there. Now, some of that's because I don't have TMAF on again, like I said, so I don't have a significant enough of acceleration enrichment. If I run an asynchronous enrichment on top of throttle mass fueling, it'll overfuel on transients. And so the idea is to need as little asynchronous enrichment as possible. And throttle mass flow helps with that. But again, since throttle mass flow is not currently enabled, I am getting these lean trends when I tip in and stuff. But I do like how much more aggressively it's grabbing these. This is really cool, actually. Copy table. I'm going to go to VE2. I'm on paste table. Bam, that easy. That's all it fucking takes to change tables. Now I'm going to add a couple percent. Add 6% to this table, because this is the 40% one as an estimate. But holy crap. Connor, Happy New Year to you, and thank you very much for the $49.99. I feel like I'm on sale. I get, you gotta do the $49.99. So it doesn't sound like it's 50, but it's definitely 50, man, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back. I know I haven't done a lot of stuff live either lately. I know I've been just doing small little quick videos. Some of them have, I don't think I've posted yet, honestly. I took a bunch of small ones. I've done some small ones and all of that. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. Happy New Year to you. I hope everything is going well where you are at. Where I am, though, on the prairie, the weather sucks. Sucks, man. The wind howling all the time right now. It's cold and miserable where I'm at. Working 2 jobs, starting your own plumbing business. Right on, dude. There's a lot of money in plumbing, that's for sure. Speaking of plumbing, I need some help with my plumbing. I can hear my stuff bubbling in my drain. So if I'm dropping a deuce on the guest bathroom toilet and something flushes or something's happening, or just even sitting down there, I can hear in the tub in the P-trap in there. So I think my vents are clogged. What do you think? Start your YouTube channel so I can start tipping you back. Let's see. Is a plumber, he confirmed lots of money in that profession. Yeah. Well, so that's one reason why I've moved away from the daily driven Subarus, and I've started going into power sports. I know you guys don't know much about that yet, but I've just recently got my package of tuning stuff from Dyno Jet. I can tune anything that Dyno Jet sells a tuner for at this point. Now, I should say that I am capable physically by having the software, but whether or not I know what I'm doing on them yet is a whole nother story, because I haven't done many of them yet. So I would not say, hey, you send me all your tunes, because there's going to be some R&D time for me to get a better grip on the ins and outs of these other engines and stuff. But that being said, I'm excited to start doing that, and I have my Honda Talon. I need to get on a dyno, though. I definitely need to get on a dyno, because I need to figure out my baseline before I throw the cam in it that I got and a bunch of other shit, and before I make the turbo kit. Basically, I'm going to put the cam in it and springs, do a full tune, and then sell the package with the tune and the tuner and all that stuff for guys that want that power. And then I'm going to build a turbo kit with the cam and have a turbo kit package with it, with the tune and all that stuff. So there's going to be these all these different packages and stuff for the cars. The reason I did, though, is because with the Subarus, it's not a very big market anymore. And like my cooling mod, for example, it's for an EJ, and they're not making those anymore either. So my market share is dropping, you know, in the cooling mods and all of that. And when the economy is hard, people can't afford to spend money on their Subarus and stuff as they used to, or it's their daily driver, and you know they can't afford to do extra Y, and that's tough, and all that stuff. So I totally get it. I totally get it. But with Power Sports, the guys had the 30 grand to spend on the thing, and they also have a desire to make them faster. So I feel like it's a larger market because of more Power Sports brands. And I feel it's a large market because guys want to do more stuff with them. It's not their daily driver, so if it goes down for a while for a build, they're okay with it. You know, it's play money anyway, so I feel like it's a better market for me because I like making shit and I like playing with toys. And then also I'm developing some other stuff. One of them, believe it or not, is actually a shower curtain rod. Of all the silly things in the world, I'm making a shower curtain rod. But it's really cool, and I'm going to patent it. And that is a huge market because there's 300-something million people in the U.S. and out of that, probably 40 to 60% of them have shower curtain rods. So that's a pretty good market. Obviously, not everyone's going to buy it, but it's a bigger initial audience. So we'll see. All right, I need to set the dyno speed, and then I'm going to start doing some low boost sweeps. I'm putting on the shower curtain rod. I'm just kidding, it's obviously not turbocharged. Would that be an idea? Alright, let's see. I set the dyno tack 3750 and fourth at 60. That's expected. 3750. Okay. Thanks, or $5. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. I'll travel for food and beer. Heat tape my vents in the attic if they are frozen. Hey, that's possible. What's weird though? Oh, yeah. That's very possible because it was like -20 out here. So it was -26 degrees. The wind chill and shit. It was cold as bizzles. But you know, honestly, I remember doing it in the summer too, but not as much. I think they just might be clogged. I think I might just have them rooted out or something. The place was built in 1990 and I don't think anyone's touched it. Oops, my first time driving stick. Alright, so I'm going to do a sweep. I'm going to log it. Oh, I'm going to verify my wideband is set to correct everything because this thing is pretty active and I have it closed loop. Yeah, up to 8,000 RPM. I'm not going to go to 8 grand because we're still on braking oil, basically. I just want to get some low boost sweeps. And, oops, that's long term. Okay, long term and lockouts are set. So it has the ability to pull 10% fuel if it wants, and the ability to add 10%. I'm going to change that on the high RPM. I'm going to give it the authority to add 30%, what's it, max, 25% fuel if it wants. That way if it sees something going lean, it's able to just throw 25% at it. Okay, then we're going to go to logging. And I'm going to pull up my menu. You can't see this one though, but I'll pull this up because it gives me my stuff. Alright, hit log. Alright, so first log, you'll see the closed loop system kept the air-fuel ratio even a little richer than target. I'm fine with that. Here, actually, you'll see it was adding wait, where's it at? Right here, it was adding 11% fuel in this spot on the map. And look at it, just nailed it though. Like, kept that AFR in tight. Fuel pressure correction going nuts. Fuel model, fuel pressure correction. It could be. Let's find out. Let's see. The fuel pressure was definitely dropping there, but I'm trying to go through my log here. Yeah, I only ran it to like, what was it, 5,000. Timing is way down, 11 degrees. $240 kPa. It's not much boost. I mean, it's 20 pounds of boost, but whoopsie. I hate that. All right. Alright, so right here it's adding an 11%. So I'm going to look at the fuel map and see where that is. Because clearly it needs more fuel there. Fuel diff is still fine in that spot. So we'll go to tuning, fuel, main VE table. We hit 0, or hit letter O. Letter O brings us to the map in that spot. So here at 140 it wanted more fuel, quite a bit more fuel. I'm actually surprised at how much it wanted. I don't think I quite got there when I was messing with on the dyno. I think I only got down like right here-ish. But that's still a lot of fuel right there. Let's take a look at our air mass. Our map air mass is here. Our throttle air mass is up here. And our throttle air mass is a lot more, almost 30% more, which would be way too much, right? So the throttle air mass is too high, because it didn't need 30% fuel, it needed 11, right? So I have to adjust the outflow scaler on that. Let's see, where is, I'm going to show you pressure ratio here. So the pressure ratio is 9491. What did I set the clamp at? Because that seems odd. What did I set the clamp at? Whoops, wrong one. Right here. 9950. Okay, so it should have been on that clamp, unless the throttle body is really that restrictive. Like the turbo's trying to boost hard and the throttle body is that restricted that there's a difference of pressure between the manifold and the discharge of the turbo, which is possible, you know, but still it at about 300 horsepower you wouldn't think that throttle body would be that much of a restriction. So that could be an issue with slight calibration differences in the pressure sensors, or maybe I didn't have the throttle full open. I know my foot was, but let's look at the drive-by-wire and see what we got here. 90%. Look at that. Wasn't even full open. My pedal sensor said 99%, but my servo position, my throttle position said 90. So I wasn't getting full open on the throttle. That explains why I had a little more difference of pressure across the throttle than I thought I should. So, look at that. Actually, that's some torque management. It says here the pedal position demand was practically 100, and so the throttle should have been 100. So it says there. This clamp table says 100 is the clamp. It says I'm on one table. Did I have a torque reduction happening there? I could have had a torque reduction. Oh yeah, traction control might be on. Let me see, is traction control enabled right now? It is. So let's turn off traction control in case that was cutting us down. Motorsports, I'm just going to turn it off for now. Make sure that wasn't causing problems. Go back to my logging. I'm going to look for traction control. Oh, it says the switch was off. Slip target is 0. And I had no partial integral, so traction control was not doing anything. Oh, but there's torque target -1000. Error, but it says it wasn't doing anything. Traction limit request off. Okay. Let's just check. Drive slip was 0% anyways, so it wasn't traction control doing that. Now you see here though, it gave me 95. I asked for 99, it gave me 95, and then it dropped out. Could be I don't have enough duty cycle allotted. Let's see what's going on. So the integral is pulling it down. Okay, so it was at its target. That's where it wanted to be. See target here, position target 90.7. And you can see here it actually pulled some duty out of it. So I have enough duty being applied to, or being allowed for it. It just for some reason had a lower target. And I just got to figure out why it had a lower target. Paul, no. Definitely not. Would that be a mechanical issue? No, because it's drive-by-wire, so it'll be in the drive-by-wire system. I got my filters. I got that. Okay, knows that stuff. Let's go back to engine, drive-by-wire configuration. That's good. Feed forward. Why had that open? What's going on here? There it goes. Position target. That's just a feed forward. I can add 60. I can pull 60. Yeah, I don't see why it's not. The deadband's not there. Ignition recut. That's for cranking, for starting. Oh, I might need to raise that up actually. It started a little slow earlier. I think I'm going to bump that up for starting. That's the filtering, which is off there anyways. Demand was 100. So the thing about this is that I hit escape and it pops into other menus, and you're not seeing the menus pop up, I don't think, are you? On the stream. But if you hit escape, it goes right back to where you were in all your tables. So basically I tune with one finger on escape and the rest of it on the arrow keys. As I move around the menus, and then when you pick what you want, then you just hit escape. Oh yeah, so they're not showing, you're not seeing them on the stream. guys can't see those, but it's not too bad. I mean, it's all in categories. I don't totally agree with all the categories that they have, but that's how they have it. And yeah, I'm gonna try again. I made a couple small changes earlier. Let's see if that did anything. Stop here. My live readings are no longer live. So this is stored. I wasn't PC logging. PC logging is when I'm taking a log. And I wasn't taking a log. I was just trying to view the connection. So it's not the same thing. It was not that. You can see right now, PC log is still stopped and I'm seeing my live data. Okay, same thing. Pedals at 98, throttles at 90. So obviously I missed something there, but let's go back to that fuel pressure thing that Travis was talking about. Let's see if I'm losing fuel pressure. It looks like I am. The differential offset is changing and the compensation is going up. So I probably need to speed up my fuel pump. Fuel pressure, 354 kPa. .307, 323. Wait, what's going on here? Differential, 294, 264, 192. So it's not going up enough. So fuel pump speed, let's go to that. Vehicle. Yeah, there we go. to set it to 100 and see if my fuel pressure changes. Do this. You bastard. I hear it. I hear it speed up. Yep, I hear the pump changing. It's right here in my ear. Yeah, so I don't know if this duty cycle, if this is based on both injectors or one injector. If it's based on both, and I just definitely don't have it set high enough. So I should set that to like primary duty or something like that, or even a pulse width. I mean, duty's pretty good. I just got to bring it down some. So let's go to logging. It's at 30% is what it said right there. So we got to 32%. Injector pulse width, effective secondary. So the secondary injector was injecting at 12.5 milliseconds, and the primary injector was injecting at 6.3. So my balance is a little off there. I should adjust the balance between the two injectors some. 35 is the high duty percentage. No, that was enable above this duty, it said. High speed enable duty. So enable it over this, not what high speed duty is, right? Let's find out. Maybe they worded it funny. Maybe those Australians worded it funny. That to me says over this duty cycle, high speed is potentially enabled based on the map. Unless you meant the old map, the old actual duty map here. But that one was set at 35 there. Unless you meant this table here. Because I had 66% right here before. And the logger says, where's my fuel pump duty at? Oops. Oops, what's going on here? Oh, you're saying I was under the trigger for it. Right. Not that that's the high duty percentage, that's the enable. Since I was at 31%, I was under the high duty trigger. Right. I want to see what it said my fuel pump speed was. Fuel pump status. Okay, that's great. I like that. I don't see it. Dude, what the fuck? Every time I hit U, the first time it pops out of the menu. So I'm with you all of a sudden, Paul. Something on this GUI. All right. So we adjusted that. Let's see what happens. I mean, we heard it run. Use the table at 100 at idle. With that duty cycle being, with my duty cycle, the injectors being well below the trigger. So it obviously used that table, so you wouldn't think that it would need to be above that trigger, even though that exists. So, I don't know. It's a weird one. We'll try one more. good there. If your pressure differential stayed 305-ish the whole way. So that was it. I just didn't have it up high enough, which is peculiar because I thought we had 2 pumps in this. I really thought the 2 pumps would be more than enough flow, even at 66% for only being 300 something horsepower. Yeah, now we're at 400 horsepower. You think it would be, and that's not wheel, 400 crank. I think it'd be enough for that. Now, if we look here at the fueling, still adding some fuel in a few areas. Right here, 8%, 9%. Let's go to air mass. This is still really high, so I still need to adjust that. The air mass outflow scaler is always an MF'er because it always trips me up. Pretty sure when I go higher, the airflow goes down. And it's counterintuitive on that one. So I'll do it again. Backwards. Throttle ratio still only, wow, holy crap, 8.9. What the hell is going on? This throttle ratio should not be dropping towards red line like that. Look at that. Boost pressure is 300, manifold pressure is 270. Oh, I know what it is. I think I know what it is. I think we're out of range on the map sensor. It's not a stock map sensor. Where'd boost tab go? There it is. That and the throttle body being, oh, at 98 that time. Throttle body was wide open that pull. Yeah. Yeah, man, I think that does show that the throttle body is a restriction. If I have overranged the map sensor, the factory one, then obviously not. But if it's an actual boost rate in the manifold being 270 and the pipe being 300, then yeah, that is definitely a restriction from the throttle body. Because I look now and see that they're 100%. So that could very well mean that the throttle body is a restriction. However, this map sensor only goes to 270 at 4.5 volts, which means it should fault high at 4.8 if we went that high. But I don't think we went that high. So let's go. What input was that again? Let me see. That was input ANV1. Logging. I'm going to go analog voltage 1. 4.5 volts. That's right at 4.5 volts. So yeah, we're right at the limit of the map sensor. But that'd still be 270. That wouldn't be something else. So yeah, I guess we're out of range. Now that's actually a little weird. Why am I getting 20 something pounds of boost on wastegate pressure? Look at timing. 10. They're not gonna make any power at 10 degrees. But that's why we start low. Make sure everything's good. No power with no timing. That means super safe. Rich 2. Air fuel's a 0.74 Lambda. Pretty damn rich. So that's all good. Yeah, 300 on the TMAF would be about 30 pounds of boost, right? So I'm thinking that is definitely a restriction on the throttle body. I mean, in addition, we are maxing out the map sensor, but you can see how it's pretty level here. And the voltage, you see AN volt 1 climbs a little bit more. And it doesn't stop reading at 270, right? It's just calibrated at 4.5 volts. So when you set that, you're setting the slope of the line. It doesn't go up and then cap, you know what I mean? Just set the slope of the line. So it's it can read a little higher, as you can see. We look here at boost. The target is atmospheric. The proportional output is minus 100%. Turbo speed. I don't know why it's not showing up. That's weird. I had turbo speed working yesterday. That's odd. Boost valve position says 10% or 5%. Until you get into boost and it goes down to 0. Oh wait, no, 5% here. So the wastegate's only at 5% in the boosted region because I got it set as a max of 5. So yeah. Turbo speed's not tracking. That's weird. Turbo speed 1. What the fuck? I had it working yesterday. Yeah, I've got nothing from the speed sensor now. you guys notice how nice this idle is. It was good. It was good. Now in this case, definitely want to get a cob 4-bar on here real quick. I can do that real fast and do a calibration and make sure that it is indeed maxing out or being a restriction. So let me just get the guys to do that real quick. Leg! Ugh. hand. Alright, 4 bars installed. So now I gotta scale it because it's gonna be angry. Config, engine. How long has the chat been going? I don't think they have this one in here. I think I saved it on one of my other ones. But I don't think it's the scale here at all. No, that's not right. So it's around there to start. And what we can do is hit this and see if it freaks out. Okay, and then hit OK. See what we got. Manifold pressure 90, bearing pressure 93, so that ain't right. So that scale's not correct. So let's look it up really fast. Here we go. Oh, this says it's at 0.563, it's 50 kPa, and 4.8 is 400. All right, let's try that. So it was really close to where we were at, actually. 4.8. This is 0.563, 0.563, and it said, I said 20. Is that what I said? 20 kPa? 50 kPa. Okay, let's save that. Let's hit OK first. What do we got? Manifold pressure is way off. Let's hit map calibrate really quick. Yep. Okay. Well, ain't that. That scale that they gave me is wrong as shit. That is not right at all. I thought 50 seemed weird at the bottom. That doesn't make sense to me at all. kPa per volt, it says 83. Yeah, we exceeded the range of the air mass calculation, and it absolutely applied more than enough fuel to it. And largely that's due to the fact that the oh no, that's not that. Ignore it. Never mind. Forget what I just said. 4.5. So I was really close initially. Gosh damn it. I was really close initially with that. So we'll calibrate this again, and then we'll just make a small tweak to it based on that. 90.8. So barometric is 93. My boost pressure says what? Let's double check that too. Because you want all these to be correct. You want your boost pressure and manifold pressure to be the same at atmospheric, otherwise all your freaking stuff gets out of whack. So yeah, so boost pressure is 92.9, 93, which is pretty much the same as barometric. And this is low, so I gotta bump this up. What's interesting though is I don't understand, like, I told it to calibrate, why didn't it calibrate? That part's confused me right now. 3 plus. Okay. Okay. Closer. It's like right here in that phase, map calibrate, it's supposed to put my map pressure at 0. There we go. I'm sorry you guys can't see the screens I'm working on. That's just some dumb stuff with OBS. Alright, we're within 0.1 kPa of each other, so that should be good. Let's fire it up. What's even crazier about this is that I didn't have the throttle mass flow even turned on yet. So with the throttle mass flow, it would have been even better. I would have seen a pressure difference across an open throttle body and would have assumed even more fueling. So it would have gotten even richer and protected itself. So it's pretty cool. And also, this has the ability, if I wanted to mess with those blend models and run it off that boost pressure on top in that line if I want to as well. So lots of options with it. But yeah, it totally keeps fuel on the motor. Look how rich it was. Look at that. Never even went lean for a second. It stayed rich the entire time. Right here, just right along that target.
Set the base timing to 44 degrees?
Yeah, right?
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
No, that's 8 degrees of timing right there. 8 degrees of timing at 6,300 RPM. That's why it made 300 wheel. And like 10.5 AFRs. What did it say?
Not 380?
What was it? The very bottom one. 290.
The highest one's 328.
Yeah.
318, 288.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's got no timing, no fuel, nothing on it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm able to get all this stuff worked out. The fuel's tracking like really, really good. So the target is the white.
Yeah.
Pink is actual. So you see it's tracking really well, and the system is being very, very fast to respond. I mean, that's awesome right there.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then you got the fuel pressure to track correctly to add some duty cycle with the pumps.
So having that that dual in and dual out really helps.
On what?
Like full parallel system.
I don't know if that necessarily helps or not. I mean, it definitely is giving us enough fuel.
Well, I mean, we run the same thing on everything.
Right.
So is it better on this one than the other ones?
Is what better?
The fuel tracking?
Oh no, I changed the. Yes, it is, but because I changed the way the Emtron did it. That's what I'm saying.
You don't need fans for this temp?
Oh yeah, no, I'm fine. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure the intercooler is probably pretty hot right now.
Huh?
I'm sure the intercooler is probably pretty hot right now.
Cold.
It's cold still?
Hand on it, cold.
It's cold still, yeah.
Yeah, this charge point's like maybe 70, 80. Yeah.
Turbo speed dropped out again. Motherfucker, that is so annoying.
Alright, now, you're welcome.
Alright, guys.
See you later.
I'm
Are you
out.
going to be here tomorrow?
I'm out.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay.
We'll see.
I'll get Sky's shit figured out for you.
Okay.
How's
So-
this looking so far?
At a minimum, that will be interest.
Good. It needs an oil change so we can turn the power up and stuff.
It's got shavers in it.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay.
All the high nice stuff gets shavers.
No,
Okay.
no, I changed it already.
Oh, did you?
I did, yes.
Okay.
I was like, I don't know.
Alright. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I thought I still had the braking stuff, but okay.
I mean, you can run it to wherever you want to make sure, but like, I'll change it again.
I checked the level. It looked good. It just smelled a little fuely, but it had never got hot, so it's going to smell fuely.
Does it look green?
I don't know. Let me look at it.
I mean, what was dripping on the ground when you fixed the banjo was green, so.
Oh my God! Stop it.
Yeah.
Air mass, pressure ratio.
It's thicker than like.
Yeah, so that boost pressure is way higher. Yeah, but it's higher through the whole pole, though. That doesn't make sense.
I'm out.
All right, guys. Something's not right. I gotta figure out what it is. Something's not right. The boost pressure shouldn't be higher here. Alright? The throttle's wide open. We're at 4,000. I mean, the throttle's wide open from the bottom here with no airflow. 3 kPa. Okay, I get that. kPa, sure, 3. But as we come up here, 10 kPa. 13 kPa. I mean, it's possible. I question. I mean, down here it's within 1, so I mean, I guess I just didn't think that the throttle body would be that big of a restriction on it. That is, I mean, 'cause up here, shit, it's like 80 to 15, so 35 kPa. Wow, that's a few pounds of boost between the charge pipe and the engine. And it's not in a weird spot on the pipe or anything. That's crazy that the throttle body is that much of a restriction. I mean, it definitely went up as... See, the thing is, they went up when pressure went up. which is a function of flow, but I just don't feel like it went up necessarily as flow went up as much. So here to here, what do we got? Boost is coming up. RPM is being held the same because the dyno's holding it. KV reference 1. Pull the Bosch information, just make sure I got it right. So the specifications for this one say 50.5 at 0.5 volts and 350 at 4.5 volts. Unless I have the 4 bar in here. Let me double check part number. I've got it scaled for the 4. Maybe I put the 3 in, 3.5 in it. My eyes are too bad. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. It's a 3.5 bar TMAF. That should be 350. Why can't I select anything? What the hell's going on? I think I need to reboot the program. I think I'm getting some glitching. 5350. 50. Turn it off. Turn it on. Let's map calibrate. Just over that. Okay. Hit OK. Bring up my runtime. F3 brings up runtime menu, which is really cool, but you guys can't see it. Calibrate, map sensors. You guys can't see that. I think you see my mouse moving around, and that's it. Okay, gauge pressure, 93.5. Manifold pressure, boost pressure, 91.3. It's off by a teeny bit. So I'm going to go like this. 2 plus. Okay. All right. Okay, problem's fixed. Now we'll get to see how much it actually is a restriction, if it is. kPa difference. That makes more sense. There we go. That tracks way better. Man, I was really feeling uneasy about that. That is way better. Oops. So we get the limit. 995. 93. There you go. So hopefully that answers all the questions. It's not a limit. It's only got a 3 kPa drop across it at almost 28 pounds of boost there. Perfect. Feel way better with that. Fuel still tracks perfectly. Everything tracks really well. I'm really happy with that. How well that's all tracking. How good this thing is. Idle is just beautiful all the time. Just rock steady. Rock steady. You know you want to hear me sing. So gotta change the outflow scaler some, gotta tweak this a smidge for the top end fueling for the TMAF stuff to track better. Gotta figure out why it wants to produce 27 pounds of boost. That part I definitely want to figure out why it's doing so much boost on wastegate pressure. I don't believe it's got that kind of spring pressure in it, so I'll have to have the guys go through and recheck their gates, make sure they got them in correctly. Don't have a, you know, what's common on these is one of the plugs falls out. The plug falls out, then you get really high. Then you get higher boost than normal, much higher than normal. So it should have 12-pound springs in it, and we're pulling 20-something pounds of boost. Now, that could mean that it is just the absolute most efficient system ever put into a car on the face of the earth, but I don't think that's the case. With a 12-pound spring, that assumes boost pressure is 12 pounds and exhaust pressure is 12 pounds. If exhaust pressure was 2 pounds, then you would have to get your boost pressure up to like 18 pounds before you had the same differential, or the same force is being created to compress the spring. So 12-pound spring isn't necessarily a 12-pound spring. That's just how they set it based on, again, back pressure being the same as boost pressure. If you're in a car that has really, really high back pressure, then your 12-pound spring is only give you 8 pounds, or maybe 6 pounds. If you're in a car with really low back pressure, your 12-pound spring is going to give you like 16 pounds or 18 pounds. I thought this had 12-pound springs in it, but we're getting 20-something pounds. So that's obviously not what I want. I wanted to have more control over the boost than that. That being said, it's very safe right now for being 20-something pounds of boost. I can't bitch about that. I'm really happy with the way everything is. It's rich as bizzalls. The timing is low as heck. I mean, at 20-something pounds of boost, it only made 300 wheels. So definitely not even trying. So my next goal is for these guys to get the boost control figured out, see why it's doing so much boost, and then set the boost control appropriately so that I can get the SI drive to function, because it's supposed to work with the Emtron. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. The Emtron does the SI drive, which is really cool. So get the SI drive to function. That'll be awesome. And I think that's it. SI drive to work with the boost control, and get the turbo speed to read every pull. It keeps falling away. I don't understand. It reads for a little while and then goes away again. Then it reads for a little while and then goes away. It might need more voltage. I only have it on an 8-volt source, so I might need to put it on a 12-volt source. Where'd it go? There you go. It's shown right there. Why wouldn't it track in the stopping, it reads and then it goes away. Okay, so that's what's going on. It's right here. So it hits 47,000 RPM and then stops working. Interesting. Okay, well, I'll have to figure that out. Well, that being said, I'm overall happy that everything else is working. It drives great, so that's all wonderful. What time is it? Oh, it's 5 o'clock. Look at that. Emtron number 1. I agree. I mean, it does a lot of cool shit. Apparently the speed sensor doesn't have enough juice. I'm guessing that's what it is. I guess I can just go to DI7 and see what it shows me for DI7 voltage. Frequency is 0, duty cycle. Where's volts? Let's see. Voltage, here we go. 6, okay. 6. So just get stuck at 6 volts. It's stuck at 6 volts, and then here it's activated. I'm getting lower voltages. Okay, so it's getting stuck at 6 volts for some reason. Have to work on that. Is it still laggy? Yeah. Yeah, it's still laggy. Let's see, I do a poll. Let's go to boost real quick here. I start. Let's just go to drive a wire. So right here, I go full throttle. So we'll go to boost here. And that's at 3100, I go full throttle. We don't expect boost to come in there, that's for sure. And then the dyno ramps it up to here and holds it here for a while, which gives us a couple pounds of boost at 4 grand. And as I hold it, then it gets to like 9 pounds of boost. And then it lets the dyno go, or then it lets the car go by 52. Let's see, I hit 14 pounds by 45. So I got 1 bar by 45. That's not bad. For a turbo this size, that's not bad. And that's without doing a lot of work with the cams yet. Like, I got a lot of advance on the intake there. Actually, advance just starts to fall off on the intake. But the exhaust is still at 0. I have the exhaust set at 0 through that whole range. So I haven't done any exhaust cam work. So I could potentially get the spool a little faster with work on the exhaust cams. So I run KV8 in my 2Z. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I have a KV12 in my RS, and I'm putting a KV8 in my Corvette. Yeah, that's what they say. That looks like a nice copy paste there, Travis. But I've never gotten one to work at 5 volts. I've always had to put 12 volts on it. I don't know if it's the one that just shows up from turn 14 or what, but I tried 5 volts on them and there's no output. And I mean, that makes sense. How many Hall effect sensors get a 5 volt input and give you a 5 volt output? Like, almost none. Almost every Hall effect sensor is a 12 volt in with a 5 volt out. But the sensor said 5 to 9 volt input on that sheet. So I was like, well, I got an 8 volt input, so I'll just use this 8 volt on it and see if it works. But it doesn't. But yeah, I had to put 12 on every single one of them I've ever wired in. I should actually ask Damon when he did it on his too, because Damon got his working. Mine needed 12 in my car, so we'll see. stagnate. And even when it's triggering, it's not a huge change in voltage. It's a small change in voltage. So, I don't know. Alright, enough of that. I'm done for now. Until we get these other little things figured out. And I can throw more voltage on that. On that turbo speed sensor. Meantime, though, sure runs good. Can't bitch about that. Yeah, it goes to 0. Because I was watching the voltage and the frequency, and you can see the voltage just stays at 6.5 volts instead of going down, you know, and give me both. It just stays high, it doesn't trigger low. And then obviously if it stays at 6.5, the frequency is going to be 0 because it's not triggering. So yeah, it definitely goes away. All right, y'all. I hope that was fun and educational to some degree. Obviously, troubleshooting little things is I think it's good for you guys to see, so that when you have issues with yours, you can be like, oh man, what was Dominic saying about this, and then you can come in and check it out. So overall, I think if you do what I did with the idle control stuff, you're going to see big improvements in your idle control. Matt says that's my bad. I don't know what he said. Not sure what's his bad, but should have ordered the the KB12. Yeah, you didn't know you were gonna do an injector. Whatever, man. It's good. It worked out. Like nothing that we've done is a KB12 issue. So nothing that we've had to deal with has been. The only thing that happened was I had to pull a bunch of inputs and move them around, or outputs to move them around so we could free up outputs for the injectors. But it works. Everything's fine. Like everything's working right now. So I wouldn't say that there was any issues. Dom, would you say today was an average amount of troubleshooting with a standalone? For a non-specific standalone, yes. Like, if you buy a plug-and-play system that's made to go right to the harness, and it's already got firmware on it for that car and all that kind of stuff, then this is probably a little more than would be for other stuff. However, other things that you would have issues with on other standalones are not a problem with this one. So, I mean, I spent a lot of time on it already, right? I didn't fire it up today, right? It's been running. I have a base map that I got off of cars that I made in the past, which is why I had the wrong TMAF sensor on there. I have spent hours on it here at the shop, working on idle control, working on getting the injectors wired in, and then activating all that stuff, getting the speed sensor wired in, activating that, getting the SI drive to read and doing that. Like, I've spent a lot of time, getting all these things set up on this car, because, there's only a handful of these in this year. So, and then when you go and do the stuff that we did, like with the injectors, then you have to do even more stuff that you haven't had to do before. So, I'm not upset with the progress today. I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with how good it runs and how good it idles and recovers at idles, and how smooth it sounds and everything. At the top end, though, I can hear it not having clean combustion. That's why it's producing only 320 wheel. But that's because I have no timing in it, and I have a lot of fuel in it. So once I throw some timing at it, and once I pull a bunch of fuel out of it, then it's going to clean right up, and the power is going to go up a lot. Also, I get to tweak the exhaust cams. Something like you saw, I haven't even touched exhaust cams yet, so I'll mess with the exhaust cams a little bit, and do a bunch more stuff. So it's good. Like I said, this isn't a staged car that they threw a plug-and-play link in. Extra injectors, turbo speed sensors, TMAF. Like, none of the other systems out there that you could get are going to be using TMAF. None of them are using a boost sensor on both sides of the throttle body and using the difference of pressure across the throttle body to calculate the air mass entering the engine. There isn't one out there doing it, unless you get like a Motec, and they might have it. right? So like it's very different. If you had the Link, they do not do that. Link doesn't even do difference pressure across the engine. So like if you can log EMAP, but you ain't using it for anything unless you develop a math channel to populate an axis, like I did on my car when I had a Link in it before. So, but it's not native, right? So this system has a lot of stuff that's different, and this car is running on differently than it would be in any of those other situations. So is it a normal amount of troubleshooting? Maybe, but it's not a normal setup, even for a standalone. So it's a very abnormal setup in that regard. So I'm not upset with the way it went. I'm only upset with myself missing that it was a 3.5 bar and not a 4 bar TMAF. So it's like, damn it, I wish I hadn't missed that. But, you know, as you saw, I'm looking at the logs and I said, this doesn't make sense. I don't think the throttle value had that much restriction as it went up. And it didn't. It obviously didn't. So, anyways, but that's all good now. And, yeah, Travis, you're going to have fun. As you can see, though, there's a lot of stuff to do. You know, there's a lot of things for just the throttle control. There's a lot of things for idle control. There's a lot of things for boost control. There's a lot of things for the fuel models you're going to blend. There's a lot of stuff for the ignition models. Luckily, it's less. There's just a lot. The motorsports features are very in-depth. You know, on the other car that we have, we're going to have paddle shifters and a sequential in it, and so it's going to control all that. Yeah, there's a lot of integration that things have. Matt doesn't have all this stuff yet, but my car, I have the 4.5-inch screen, the 8-inch or the 7-inch screen, the 8-button keypad, and the small individual gauges, right? So it's got a lot of instrumentation on it. And I might take out the small gauges. We'll see if it's too much instrumentation. But, you know, I've got all that. They support PDMs, you know, if you want to do that. Like, just a lot of stuff that you're not going to get with the Link. A lot of stuff you're not going to get with a Haltech. A lot of stuff you're not going to get with a lot of them. So, anyways, thanks much, guys. I'm starting to get congested from talking too much. And I hope you all have a good weekend if I don't see you again tomorrow. Good night.